I guess let's just mention this super quick, mostly because two of my children are bloody Swifties, aren't they? This is actually really big news because Taylor Swift carries a huge amount of weight with a huge number of people under 30, like a huge number of people under 30. This is what Taylor Swift said. Like many of you, no, I won't be silly. Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on topics that matter to you the most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for this country. Recently, I was made aware that that AI of me, or an AI of me, falsely endorsing Donald Trump's presidential run was posted to his site. It really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth. I will be casting my vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in the 2024 presidential election. I'm voting for Kamala Harris because she fights for the rights and causes I believe need a warrior to champion them. I think she is a steady-handed, gifted leader, and I believe we can accomplish so much more in this country if we are led by calm and not chaos. It's a great line. I was so heartened and impressed by her selection of running mate Tim Walz, who has been standing up for LGBT plus rights, IVF, and a woman's right to her own body for decades. Let me just tangent off this, Chewy, because some people may not know what I'm about to tell you. He was the football coach at a high school in 1999. And in 1999, he insisted that he was like the LGBT representative and advocate within that school. And he's actually made statements to say it was really important that the football coach, the manliest of manly kind of people within the school, was also the LGBT advocate. There is a lot of criticism about people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton not finding their voice for same-sex marriage until 2010. Tim Walz was doing this as a football coach, advocating for LGBT teens in his school in 1999. He's got, is it thoroughbred? Anyway, he's through and through, right? And if you didn't know that, now you know. It's a really important point. For him, it's not a, well, I better change my position for the vote. He's been doing it for well before he was a politician. Taylor goes on, I've done my research and I've made my choice. Your research is yours to do and the choice is yours to make. I also want to say, especially to first-time voters, remember that in order to vote, you have to register. I also find it much easier to vote early. I'll link where to register and find early voting dates and info in my story. With love and hope, Taylor Swift. Childless cat lady. Just a little in there to JD Vance. And I mean, if you were being an honest actor in this, Chewy, as a politician, who can be upset about that? Get out and register. Make sure you vote. Vote for who represents you. Do your research.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As soon as I heard that, I turned to my colleague and I was like, well, that's the election over.
She might give someone a 1% bump. 100%.
She's mobilized the Swifties. No, more to the point. She might be mobilizing a very dangerous generation. Like the younger voters in the US have had, nobody gives a shit about them. Why would you vote?
Yeah.
Nobody standing represented them. And now Taylor's pointed out these things that are important to her fans and potential younger voters.
Yeah.
Like the Republican Party thrives on exactly the same thing that happens here. Older people vote right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't criticize the statement. I think it's brilliant. And I would be very, very worried. They said that when those AI images were doing the rounds, they were like, I don't know, do you want to piss off Taylor, who has kind of always stayed out of this?
Yeah. Well, she hasn't actually.
There you go.
My kids have made me sit down and watch two of the documentaries they might be on Disney. And there's a scene in one of them where a local senator I think it's in Tennessee, which is where she's from, a Republican, is coming out to try and stop a woman's right to choose. And there's this conversation in a lounge between her and her dad and her mum, and she's really emotional. And she goes, "This woman, I think her name's Marcy, someone. This woman represents Tennessee as a Tennessee Christian. This is not Tennessee Christianity. I'm a Tennessee Christian." And her father's like, "Do you want to lose half your, your base?" And then her mother comes in and her father comes back and goes, "I don't want to have to organize bulletproof limousines every time we go out." So they're aware of it. So, the last time around she was starting to get into it, but it seems that now, she probably is the most famous person in the world. Probably. Most famous female, certainly the most famous entertainer in the world. And so obviously the bigger her reach, the more responsibility she takes with it. So